anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready.
It can do it all. Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We got the NBA Cup going on. Not that anybody really cares per se about the NBA Cup. Now, I got to be honest with you. I actually did try to look of like, okay, like what does it mean like for the NBA Cup? Like who's playing for what here? And I lost interest and I gave up after about 30 seconds. And I was like, you know what? Whatever, dude. There's NBA games.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
He also said that the Bears head coaching opening would be the most coveted job after the season.
They'll let that guy stay. I heard today that they were very worried about screwing up Caleb Williams. So that he likes this guy, Brown, so much that they may let him stay as the head coach. What a disaster that'll turn into.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
What's going on, and welcome to Pro Football Today post-game show. My name is Tom Vecchio. Seahawks come away with the win, 6-3. A football game happened tonight. That's as much as I can say about this one. It obviously was not what we were expecting. 9 total points. We have a clear under, and it was a clear under pretty much since halftime when that live line, as I spoke about, dropped to 28.5 or 29, depending on what we saw at halftime. 0 points scored in the entire second half. Now, the Seahawks come through with the win. It's obviously good for them in terms of their playoff seeding, as we just discussed on the pregame show. It wasn't exactly a must-win for them, but they win. The Bears do cover. And that's also something that we spoke about, that the Seahawks would win this. They are the better team, but the Bears were at least live to cover. 4.5 or 5 is a bit of a weird number. It was obviously a change throughout the week when it opened up at 3.5, got to 5 at some points, 4.5, whatever it might be. So clear under, Seahawks win, Bears do cover. We did see some props come through for some players. We did see some players fall clear below their props. So let's get into it all. Let's start on the Bears side of things. And again, they could have had one extra touchdown if it wasn't, or a touchdown, not just one extra touchdown, a single touchdown if it wasn't called back from that holding penalty back in the first quarter, second quarter, whatever that was. But Caleb Williams, 122 yards, no touchdowns, the one interception from him. DeAndre Swift, 12 carries, 53 yards on the ground, and another 28 in the air. Vinny, do we have the running back graphics? So we go to Swift. So 53 on the ground, another 28 in the air for him. Solid roll overall. This is kind of the role that he's been playing throughout the majority of the season, where he's pushing over, 15 total touches. His prop was sitting at 56.5. His receiving was sitting at 14.5. He went to 28 yards. So he cashes one, falls short on the rushing yards overall. Caleb Williams did get things going on the ground, 37 yards for him on the ground. And then all of the receivers basically outside of, we'll have to double check Noah Fant's line, but basically every other receiver on both sides is falling below their number. I may have to double check on Tyler Lockett's 3 catches for 20 yards, but it was a clear lack of production across the board. Keenan Allen, the 5 catches for 25 yards. DJ Moore did have 6 catches for 54 yards. And I spoke specifically about DJ Moore going over 5.5 receptions on the pregame show, just the role that he plays, very low A-dot catches, average depth of target, very low catches. We saw it even on that. It was a 3rd and 24, and they ran a 4-yard, 5-yard crossing route to DJ Moore, which he just takes there. So that's just kind of been the role, and we've seen Caleb Williams scramble the pocket. So the receptions for DJ Moore come through. Swift goes over on his yards. I would assume he goes over on his receptions, considering he had 5. Keenan Allen falls below. Rome Odunze, the 1 catch for 15 yards. Across the board, obviously, wasn't great stuff from either team. On the Seattle side of things, Geno, 17 of 23, 160, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Zach Charbonnet, 15 carries for 57 yards. Kenny McIntosh got involved a little bit, 7 carries for 46 yards. This is what we could be seeing. And this is not what we could be seeing. This is what we will be seeing next week from Seattle, because Kenneth Walker was placed on IR. So we should be seeing somewhat of a split backfield for them. Noah Fant, if we have the tight end graphic, we can throw that up, because he had 4 catches for 43 yards, leading Seattle with 43 yards. I forget what his pregame number was, but it certainly wasn't that high in the 40s. DK Metcalf with 3 catches for 42 yards. The long of 23. JSN, Jackson Smith, and Jigba falls well below his line on 3 catches for 32 yards. His number was up in the 70s. We did have a team-high 6 targets, which is generally the role that he plays on the team, especially over the past few weeks. He just didn't get it done. Tyler Lockett, 3 of 20. Charbonnet added 3 catches, 19 yards. So Charbonnet with 3, 19. He pushes, close to 80 combined yards, which is great. The 3 catches, it's great from a little bit of a fantasy perspective, but obviously a clear lack of production overall. The Seahawks are still live to win the division and make the playoffs. They need the Cardinals to win on Saturday night versus the Rams. That's what they're holding out hope for, even though the Rams have been trending upward since they got everyone back and healthy. That's all you can really talk about when it comes to this game. Bears, one more game to close out a terrible season after it started off pretty strong. They were 4-2 at one point. They come out of the bye week. They go to the Commanders, the whole Hail Mary play. After that, they have not won a single game. And this is what we're going to see to end the season next week versus the Packers. 6-3 final on Thursday Night Football. Now, we can get past that game. It wasn't good. Not as much scoring as I was anticipating. I was optimistic that we would see at least a modest amount of scoring overall. Seahawks won. Bears covered. Let's move on to the Saturday slate, where we have meaningful games for teams. We have a 3-game Saturday slate. The rest on Sunday. The 1 Monday night game, which myself, Dave Sherapan, Adam Kaufman will be back for. That should be at least a good one. We have the Lions. They are awesome, going up against the 49ers. Obviously, they have been eliminated from playoffs, but I expect the Lions to come out strong in that game, get a little bit of revenge last year. When we look back to the NFC Championship game, we will get to Monday night when we get to Monday night. But my first instinct is not only to take the Lions at -3.5, but also to take the Lions at -6.5. They will win by a touchdown, get a little bit of that revenge from last year's NFC Championship game. But let's jump into the Saturday slate. Chargers, 4.5-point road favorites taking on the New England Patriots, is a 43.5 over under. The Pats looked pretty good last week, covering as 14.5-point underdogs when they're on the road taking on Buffalo. It is important to note that the Chargers are still waiting on officially activating J.K. Dobbins off of IR. This is one thing that we have seen from them over the past few weeks, is that their run game is very clearly lacking. We did get a report earlier today from Adam Schefter, is updating that the Chargers are listing Gus Edwards as out, and J.K. Dobbins, again, still listed as questionable. So right now, I'm not seeing any rushing crowds for any players. The point being is that since J.K. Dobbins has been out, Gus Edwards and Kamani Vidal have not gotten anything going on the ground, and has largely fallen onto the shoulders of Justin Herbert to move the offense down the field. While they don't have a ton of great receiving options outside of Ladd McConkey, we can look to Justin Herbert props of where we should be seeing them move the ball. And frankly, I like him over 31.5 passing attempts. I think this game still stays under overall, but the passing attempts for Justin Herbert should be there if we do not see J.K. Dobbins activated. That's one of the main things I want to stress. This is my interpretation of the game right now as we wait for that Dobbins news, which we'll get tomorrow afternoon because it'll be past where they have to do it on the 4 p.m. deadline since it's a Saturday game. So keep that in mind. We have to wait on the Dobbins news before we jump on the Herbert lines because we don't want to be stuck in a spot where, hey, Dobbins is back and then we turn into a big run game and then Herbert's not in a spot where he has to throw the ball. So that is the main takeaway I have from that. Drake May, the 221.5 line, I kind of don't mind it. He looked pretty good last week. I think they can get out there and score. I would say Hunter Henry at 43.5 receiving yards is the best spot to go. I don't mind his reception total at 4.5. It is juiced minus 128 to the under. We do have a solid defense overall on the Chargers side of things, when it's all said and done. But I do expect the Pats obviously to be playing from behind. I don't mind a little bit of Herbert. I don't mind a little bit of Hunter Henry on the other side. Going up against his former team, a little bit of revenge narrative is always nice. Let's move on to the Broncos and the Bengals. This is an awesome game. Absolutely awesome game. Both teams have full motivation to play and win. The Bengals' playoff hopes are still alive. Denver, they also need to win this game. Obviously, the various circumstances and permutations of what can happen if the Chargers lose, the Broncos win, and whatever might be. We can break all of this down. We're coming up against a break right now. We'll continue to break down this game. We have Cardinals at Rams also on Saturday night. We'll run through that. And then the entire Sunday slate we can get through, getting some props as they're posted, of course. We'll be specifically taking a look at Mike Evans' props as he pushes for 1,000 receiving yards for another straight season. So stay tuned here on Pro Football post-game show, Thursday Night Football Defendant.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
What's going on, and welcome to Pro Football Today post-game show. My name is Tom Vecchio. Thursday Night Football just ended. It wasn't great. Seahawks come away with the win 6-3. No touchdowns being scored. Most of the time we see those no touchdown games. Those odds are up at plus 200 to 1, whatever it might be. So if you were on that, congrats, massive winners out there. But we are on to the Saturday slate of games, which actually should be amazing. Specifically, this game between the Broncos and the Bengals. Both teams have their playoff hopes firmly alive, and this is where we want to be looking for some real action. Now, I've said this on various shows throughout the week. Initially, I lean on the under. 49.5, I lean on the under, despite the fact that we've seen some a clear lack of consistency from the Bengals defense this season, and the Broncos defense is good. This game is just too important for both teams for them to truly want to get out there and run this up to 60, 70 some odd points. Like, that's not what we should be seeing at a game at this point in the season when they're both literally fighting for their playoff lives. The Bengals need to win out over the next few games, and we get into some of the playoff scenarios of team X needs to win this and get help, Y over here, Z over there, wherever it might be. But the Bengals need to take care of business. So do the Broncos. So they don't want to turn this into a barn burner shootout. So I lean under 49.5. I also generally look towards Joe Burrow over 36.5 passing attempts. It's not listed right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook. I'm seeing over elsewhere on DraftKings. It's 36.5 passing attempts. It is juiced a little bit, minus 125. He's averaging 37 on the season. We do see the Bengals coming in with a 64.22 pass play percentage. That's the third highest in the league, because despite the good effort and good production, most importantly, that we've seen from Chase Brown out of the backfield for the Bengals since Zach Moss has gone out with an injury. Chase Brown is great, but at the end of the day, it is a Joe Burrow-led offense with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That's what we should be seeing from Joe Burrow and the Bengals overall this season. So that's what they should be doing at the most important time of the year. So Joe Burrow over 36.5 passing attempts. Not the yards, just the attempts. Now, as we move on to Saturday night, Cardinals taking on the Rams, 47.5 over under. Rams, 6.5 point home favorites. I don't mind a little bit of scoring in this game. We have seen a up and down performances from the Cardinals this season. We see them score a lot of points. We see them give up a lot of points. So I don't mind pushing towards the over in this game. I think the main spot I'll be looking will be a live over. If this starts off a little bit slow, or one team's a little bit slow coming out of the gate, I think over 41.5 would be my favorite spot to take. But more importantly, when it comes to the rushing props, this has to be a Kyren Williams game. I think this is where we should be seeing him excel. I think you can look to his rushing yards. I think you look to him over 20.5 carries. I think you could look to a combined rushing plus receiving once it's posted. I'm not seeing it as of now. That's the spot I ultimately want to be looking. Now, Trey McBride has been awesome for the Cardinals this season. I think you can look there. His line sitting at 64.5. Total receptions sitting at 6.5, I think, is fine. Obviously, aside with the yards. In most cases, unlike tonight with DJ Moore, it's obviously a player-by-player basis and different teams. But Trey McBride, 64.5 yards is a spot that he should be getting to. Again, the Rams defense is good. It's not overwhelming by any capacity, but if the Cardinals are going to put up any points in this game, it's likely going to be Trey McBride, because we've got to remember that James Conner is still listed as questionable and may not be playing in this game. And frankly, I'm not sure if they need to have him out there, their star running back in the final two games when they're already eliminated. Next up, let's turn to Cowboys at Eagles. Eagles are now 7.5 point favorites. They were 9.5 point favorites earlier in the week, but as of Thursday, it was a second straight day that Jalen Hurts did not practice due to the concussion. So the line has moved quite a bit, as you see, opening up at 10.5, down to 9.5, 8.5. It's all the way down to 7.5 now, as Kenny Pickett is expected to start. That's not fully confirmed. We do need Friday's practice report. The total has dropped to 39.5. We also know on the Cowboys side of things that as of today, they are officially shutting down CeeDee Lamb for the rest of the season. He's had this shoulder thing throughout a number of weeks, and on various primetime games, specifically this past Sunday versus the Bucs, they were noting that he has made an effort to try and not land on that shoulder when he's being tackled. The Cowboys are officially eliminated from the playoffs. There is no reason to give this star wide receiver that you just gave an extension to last offseason, there's no reason to have him out there. So we want final confirmation on the Jalen Hurts news. Do I still lean with the Eagles because they are a far, far better team compared to the Cowboys? Yes. Would I obviously love to see Jalen Hurts play? Yes. Would I love to see this number drop to 7, then jump on the Eagles? Of course. We may never get that. And as of now, I'm not seeing any props posted in this game outside of the passing props for Cooper Rush, which are sitting at 188. And frankly, I don't want to be going there. The TD market is rather interesting just because Saquon's the only player at minus 240 and everyone else is sitting at plus money. So I think when it's all said and done, we can look to the Eagles for a little bit of consistency, especially Saquon, especially if Kenny Pickett is going to be in there. They just lean on Saquon, takes care of business. But some type of Jake Ferguson prop for the Cowboys could be in play this week because if CeeDee Lamb is gone, it opens up a lot of target share overall for the Cowboys. And we have seen Jake Ferguson at least have a good connection with Cooper Rush when he's out there. Now, I'm just quickly checking DK. So DK does have props posted just for the Cowboys. Jake Ferguson's line sitting at 36.5. It's minus 115. His receptions are sitting at 4.5 with plus 115 on the over, minus 150 on the under. I certainly prefer the yards. The Cowboys will likely be playing from behind, and Ferguson at least has somewhat of a repertoire with Cooper Rush there. Next up, let's turn to the Colts and the Giants. It's a 7.5 point favor, 7.5 point spread in favor of the road Colts, who as of today are expecting Anthony Richardson to have the start at quarterback. Some interesting reports coming out this late in the season where he's not fully confirmed, but they are expecting him to be ready for Sunday when the Colts are still not technically and mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. They still need to win. Now, they need a ton of help elsewhere, but your quarterback that you drafted in the first round a couple of years ago, you expect him to be out there and be ready to go. We're coming up against a break right now. We can go through the rest of the Sunday games. There's some games that mean absolutely nothing for teams. There's some games that we may be seeing players rest, whatever it might be. We'll get to the Jets and the Bills, one of those games that jumps to mind where they technically don't have anything to play for. Raiders, Saints, don't really want to talk about that one, but we can touch on it quickly as we move through the rest of the Sunday slate. Stay tuned here on Pro Football Today post-game show.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
What's going on, and welcome to Pro Football Today post-game show. My name is Tom Vecchio. We're coming off the heels of a Thursday night dud, 6-3 win in favor of the Seahawks. They move on to root for the Cardinals. They need them to win to beat the Rams on Saturday night, a game we just previewed quickly to keep their playoff hopes alive. Obviously, the under hits with the 6-3 game. It closed at 42.5, whatever it might be, a clear under throughout. We do see the Bears cover, the Chicago Bears cover, so at least they have that going for them to end the season. We were talking about the Colts and the Giants, and a lot of uncertainty in this game because there are reports that Anthony Richardson is listed as did not practice on Wednesday on dealing with back and foot injuries. Again, the Colts are optimistic that he will play. It's a little bit interesting considering that they are in spots, a literal must-win. Like, they need to win this game and get help elsewhere in order for their playoff hopes to stay alive. So regardless if we see Richardson in there or not, or Joe Flacco is at the helm, it's going to have to be a big game on the ground for Jonathan Taylor. So that's initially where I'd be looking. There are some props posted for Anthony Richardson. And again, I would lean very, very firmly on the under when it comes to his attempts. Overall, 26.5 on the attempts is always going to be a spot to look. We're looking at games, especially even last week, we saw, 7 total completions, 8 total completions from him. It's just not passing at a high volume. Get the ball into your best player's hands, and that is Jonathan Taylor. Moving on to Raiders Saints, it's a 1.5 point spread. Both of these teams have been eliminated for quite some time. It is a 37.5 over under. I am not seeing any props posted for this, at least as of now, on the FanDuel Sportsbook, and there's not much to say about this game. We just saw the Saints on Monday night where they got shut out by Green Bay. We saw the Raiders, they're coming off a win the other day against the Jaguars, and congrats to beating the Jaguars. There's no reason to bet this game. Let's just call it what it is. You don't need to bet every game every week. There are better games to bet. If you have to pick this game for your pick'em pool, which I certainly have to do when it comes to pick'em pools, I may just take the points with the home Saints. It's 1.5 points. That's what it comes down to. I may just simply take the points with the 1.5 with the Saints. And the same thing can be said about Titans visiting the Jaguars, which is also a 1.5 point spread. It is also a total sub 40, sitting at 39.5. I may just take the points with the Titans, and this is solely for a pick'em pool. I'm not actually wagering on them because I have no interest when it comes to betting on games where teams have zero motivation to play. Now, doesn't mean I don't want to bet on a player prop in this game, potentially looking at Calvin Ridley for the Titans going up against his former team. That I have some interest in. Calvin Ridley, 62.5 receiving yards. That I can talk myself into. Calvin Ridley, over 4.5 receptions. That's something we can get on board with. But when it comes to the spread, I don't know who's going to win these games, nor do I care. And frankly, we should be seeing the Raiders lose as they push towards a better draft spot overall. So get these games out of the way. Raiders, Saints, Titans, Jags. Do not show these on Red Zone. No one has interest in them. Jets, Bills. Very, very interesting game. It's a 46.5 over-under. It is juiced to the over at -120. 8.5 point spread in favor of the Bills, with the Kansas City win on Christmas Day going up against the Steelers. The Chiefs have fully clinched the number 1 seed. There was, some scenarios leading into the week that if the Chiefs lost, the Bills win, then the Chiefs lose in the final week, the Bills win, et cetera, et cetera. The Bills obviously have the tiebreaker because they beat them earlier in the season. That is no longer the case. So, mathematically speaking, the Bills do not have anything to play for. So the question becomes, as we mentioned briefly on the pregame show, is how long will Josh Allen be out there? Is he going to be out there for the whole game? Should he be out there for the whole game? Is he going to be out there because he wants to put up a good performance? He's still fighting for the MVP. How important is that? Is it important for him to stay healthy as we get closer to the playoffs? So I'm not seeing any props posted in terms of on the FanDuel Sportsbook for this game. Let's just double check DraftKings real quick to see if they have anything up. They have any touchdown scores. They do have some things up. Let's see. Receiving props, it's mostly on the Bills side of things. Again, also for the Jets side, Devontae Adams was listed as did not participate in practice on Wednesday and Thursday. I view that mostly as a veteran rest day, as we've kind of seen that trend from him throughout the season. So Bills, I think I lean on the Bills at 8.5 just because we're not betting on the Jets anymore. Their season has been done. They are dead as a team. They've absolutely quit. I lean on the Bills. I lean on the over. And again, I'm optimistic that Josh Allen will at least be in there for this week. As they get to week 18 and they have to play the Pats, he probably sits that game as they close out the season and they get healthy for the playoffs. So Bills over the Jets, as you would assume. But I also do like the over. It is juiced to -120. Of course, stay tuned here on Pro Football Today. Post-game show. We'll go through Sunday's games when we get back.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
What's going on, and welcome to Pro Football Today post-game show. My name is Tom Vecchio. Thursday Night Football is done. We are on to the Sunday slate of games, and I want to touch on the AFC North divisional odds real quick, because over the past few weeks, and we have to go back a couple, if you've been watching the show and the post-game shows, whatever it might be, leading into the week where we saw the Ravens playing the Giants and the Steelers playing the Eagles, on this very show, at that point, the Ravens were plus 175 to win the division. And I said the time to bet the Ravens was now, because the Ravens were absolutely going to be beating the Giants that week. We all knew that. Now, there was a chance that the Steelers could put up a fight and beat the Eagles, which they did not. And then I said, leading into that, if the Ravens beat the Giants, which they did, the following week, the Ravens and the Steelers play. And if the Ravens come away with that win, the odds for that division would dramatically shift. And what have we seen over the course? The Steelers lost to the Eagles. The Steelers lost to the Ravens. The Steelers lost to the Chiefs just yesterday. And now these odds are dramatically different. So if you jumped in at plus 175, where I jumped in, we are looking at a great spot to cash that ticket for the Ravens coming away with the AFC North. So we're running through the Sunday slate of games. Let's actually jump to Sunday night football. Again, there's some dud games out there throughout the rest of Sunday. Let's actually jump to Sunday night football, because we have an awesome game on tap. The Commanders hosting the Falcons. It is a 4.5-point spread, a 47.5 over-under. We know that Michael Penix is now at the helm for the Falcons offense, and this is one of the best games of the week. We have two teams that are fully motivated to play and win. Now, there are different playoff scenarios for the Falcons in the division. They already have the 2-0 head-to-head record over the Bucs. The Bucs do play the Panthers this week. That could be a win for them. We will certainly get into that. But this is a spot where if you are a Bucs fan, if you are a Bucs backer in terms of make the playoff odds, win the division odds, whatever it might be, you are rooting for the Commanders to come away with this win. Give the Falcons another loss. Bucs, again, should be able to come away with the Panthers. We will touch on that game either this segment or the next. I absolutely love this matchup. If we have the passing props for this game, we can throw up that quarterback head-to-head. Obviously, again, Michael Penix taking over the starting quarterback job for the Falcons. His line sitting at 212.5. Daniels has been awesome all season, 228.5. certainly not looking to over 1.5 passing touchdowns for Michael Penix. I would look there for Jaden Daniels. I'm not sure what we're going to be getting out of Michael Penix Jr. and the passing offense for the Falcons. Now, it's important to note when you look back just at face value from the Falcons box score last week, they played the Giants and we had the pick sixes from Drew Lock. So the offense or the team scored points, but it wasn't necessarily all on the offense. So easiest spot to go, of course, for the Falcons would be looking to Bijan Robinson. Either you want to go straight to his yards, you want to go to his rushing plus receiving, which is sitting up at 109. You want to go to his rushing attempts, whatever it might be. Personally, I would side with just the rushing yards at 83.5. I think that is a spot you can absolutely look week in and week out. When it comes to the receiving corps, this is where things really start to get interesting because we've seen a clear lack of production outside of clear lack of production from Kyle Pitts. And the main production, of course, is going to Drake London. We should still be seeing a big game from Darnell Mooney, but of course, Terry McLaurin on the other side. So a really, really fun game. I lean with Darnell Mooney at 54.5. I lean on that over. That's the spot I want to go. Kyle Pitts has been the epitome of inconsistency this season, failing to get to even 10 yards in some games. Other games he's popping off for 40, 50, 60 yards. Other games he has 3 targets for 2 catches and 17 yards. It has been a pit of misery for Kyle Pitts this season, and I have no interest in going there. So you want to go Terry McLaurin, I would say is the main option. A lot of people are going to be looking to Brian Robinson as well. I think it's fine when it's all said and done, but I prefer Bijan Robinson in the backfield between the two Robinsons, and then going to Terry McLaurin when it comes to the wide receivers. So we went through the AFC North odds. We went through Sunday Night Football. That should be one of the best games on the slate. And then I kind of mentioned in conjunction with the Falcons, let's turn to the Buccaneers hosting the Panthers. This is a game that I absolutely have my sights set on. Couple things. I think the Bucs win. I'm not necessarily sure that they covered. The Panthers are playing far, far better in recent weeks than they were compared to earlier in the season. Everyone is saying this about Bryce Young and the Panthers offense. He gets benched. They are playing so much better. Chuba Hubbard is piling up the yards on the ground. But what did I mention earlier in this show? It is Mike Evans. Over the final 2 weeks of the season, Mike Evans needs to average 91 yards per game so he can hit 1,000 yards for the entire season, as he has done in every single year of his career. He's obviously well behind the 8 ball because of the hamstring injury that forced him to miss a number of games. So I'm not seeing a prop on the FanDuel Sportsbook for Mike Evans, but his number is listed over on DK. It's now at 81.5. It's sitting at minus 115 on both sides. For him to go over that, it did open up in the high 70s. Now, alting him is obviously the spot that we really want to look. This is where we get the real value. So not only him going over the 81.5, we want to take him at 90 plus, potentially 100 plus. And that would be listed at plus 120 and plus 170, respectively, for Mike Evans to break the 90 or century mark at plus 170 and set him up for a big final week versus the Saints, where you can absolutely break through 90 yards yet again and hit 1,000 yards on the season. So at this point in the year, not just the Mike Evans note, but something we'll talk about, and we'll talk about in the coming weeks, whatever it might be, on the Sunday night recap, Monday night recap for next week. We are in a spot of the season where players are pushing towards these milestones like a Mike Evans getting to 1,000 yards, whatever it might be. But as we approach week 18, we will be talking about players reaching contract incentives, which they all have, and you'll see various sources across Twitter talking about players saying, oh, he needs to have 6 more catches to receive a $250,000 bonus in his contract, or reach 800 receiving yards, whatever it might be. We are going to be breaking those down because the prop market is extremely fun in week 18 if you're new to betting the NFL, whatever it might be. Real life implications in terms of playoff clinching scenarios may be dead for some of these games as we get to week 18. They're already dead here for Titans, Jags, and Raiders, Saints. But if these are week 18 matchups, we actually can start to look at contract incentives, and that is an extremely fun market to look at. I will also say there are spots that we actually can look on some very clear unders because teams may be pulling starters because their playoff seeding is secure. They may want to get them out there for the first half of a game, the first quarter, and they treat it like a preseason game, and then they pull them at a certain point because, hey, let's just get rested up for the playoffs. There's no reason to be out there when our spot is fully secured. So this is a massive week in terms of real life playoff implications, but then we can turn it to the fun side of things and start to look at props for week 18, whether it be contract incentives. And it's totally reasonable, especially with these final 2 weeks, if you want to limit what you're doing in terms of betting and saying, I am only going to be looking to teams or players that have motivation to play and win. I don't want to be looking to Raiders, Saints. I don't want to be looking to the Jets, Titans, Jags, whatever it might be. I want to strictly stick with teams that have motivation to play and win. That is great. You narrow the list down, focus on the Packers and the Vikings, which we can get to in a few, in a segment or two. You want to focus in on Mike Evans, A, because they need to play and win, B, because he does have this fun career milestone, hitting 1,000 yards, et cetera, et cetera. So that is a totally viable route to go when it comes to this portion of the season, which is not something that we get from other sports necessarily. Players reaching milestones in other sports is maybe a little bit more variable. If you're behind the 8 ball when it comes to plate appearances in MLB, it's not like a player can pick up 50 plate appearances over the final 2 games, but a player can pick up an extra 40, 50 yards sometimes when it comes to receiving in these last few games. So we will break all that down. We got a couple more segments here on Pro Football Today post-game show. Again, final score on Thursday night wasn't a great one. Seahawks coming away with the win, 6-3 over the Bears. The under obviously hits. It was 42, 42 and a half, whatever it might be. The Bears do cover, though, so credit to them on that. They cover. Seahawks come away with the win. Now the Seahawks are rooting for the Cardinals on Saturday night. Stay tuned here. A couple more segments on Pro Football Today post-game show.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
What's going on, and welcome to Pro Football Today post-game show. My name is Tom Vecchio. We are running through the Sunday slate of games. Thursday night football is done. It is behind us. We're not talking about it anymore. We're on to the Sunday slate of games. One important note that I wanted to make, I was so excited to get away from this Thursday night game. We don't want to be talking about a game that ended 6-3. Did not want to talk about that. Was so excited to get away from it. Forgot to mention that there are actually a number of weather concerns this week, and it's mostly rain. A little bit of wind in some places. It doesn't look like we're going to see any snow, but some rain with Denver visiting Cincinnati, Indy visiting the New York Giants, Tennessee visiting Jacksonville. The Jets at Buffalo, it's potential for heavy rain. It's obviously not fully confirmed. We are sitting here on Thursday night, and we're trying to look ahead to Sunday. Could be some showers in Tampa Bay. Could be some showers in Philadelphia. Cleveland hosting the Dolphins, a game we're about to preview in a second. Rain likely and the potential for heavy rain exists. And also the Sunday night game, which I just touched on, same thing. Heavy rain potential at home for the Commanders hosting the Falcons. So I guess that does point even further to a spot where Bijan Robinson should be having a big game for the Falcons. So weather does play a part. It does impact the game plans overall. Let's jump to the Dolphins visiting the Cleveland Browns. The Dolphins are 6.5-point road favorites. We have a 39.5 over-under. We do know that DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, is still starting at quarterback for the Browns. This is a mistake. It should be Jameis Winston out there. It is also important to note that, mathematically speaking, the Dolphins' playoff hopes are still alive. They are currently holding down the 9th seed. Now, I mentioned this at the top of the show. There are teams that have clear motivation to play and win. The Dolphins do fall under that category of clear motivation to play and win. But not only do they need to win and take care of business against the Browns team, they also need any combination of, when we're talking about the Chargers and the Broncos and the Colts, to lose, and then they have to go into next week, and et cetera, et cetera. So there are so many different combinations. What needs to be done is they need to start and take care of their own business, which is win this game versus what is clearly a bad Browns team, especially when DTR is at the helm. So 39.5 over-under, again, a game where we could see plenty of rain, points me to Devon Achane on the ground. And again, we did not see Jalen Waddle play last week for the Dolphins. His status is still not fully confirmed. You would like to think that this could be a spot where we do see Tyreek Hill have a big role, but if the heavy rains could play an issue, that may not be my favorite spot to go. I would look to receptions, potential receptions, not receiving yards, receptions for Tyreek Hill, but those are not listed on the DK Sportsbook. Nothing's listed over on FanDuel, but at least there are some props listed over on DraftKings now. So when it turns to the rushing market for someone like Devon Achane, this is a spot where I think we could see him thrive, but I also want to potentially look to the rushing plus receiving because we know that Achane plays a solid role coming out of the backfield for the Dolphins, and these quick screen plays that they do, they are designed very quick passes, very quick screen plays for Achane. They're essentially an extension of their run game. So that's where I'll look initially. I want to also look to his receptions. They're not posted yet either, but his rushing plus receiving yards are sitting at 98.5. That's a touch too high for me. I would prefer just his receptions once those get posted, whatever they might be, 35.5 for just the receiving yards. That I have some interest in as of now, but again, waiting mainly for the receptions. Next up, an awesome game, maybe one of the games of the week, would be the Green Bay Packers visiting the Minnesota Vikings. 1.5 point spread, 48.5 over under. This game does have playoff implications for both of these teams. Vikings sitting in the 5 seed, Packers sitting in the 6 seed. Again, the Packers are 2 games behind them. The Vikings are 13-2. The Packers are sitting at 11-4. The Packers end the season with the Bears. So if the Packers are able to win this game versus the Vikings, I think we'd all assume that they can beat the Bears. The Vikings end the season with the Lions, which is a losable game for them. So theoretically, if the Packers win both games and the Vikings lose both games, this is where we could see the flip-flop where the Packers jump into that 5th seed instead of a 6th seed. Now, obviously, they'd still be on the road in the playoffs, so it's not like they're getting home field advantage away from someone, but it does change who they play. And we may not know that until week 18, but again, there is motivation for them to jump up in terms of seeding, change who they play, because let's be honest, if the Falcons end up winning that division, either of those road teams potentially playing a road game versus the Falcons, I will take either of those teams versus the Falcons in the first round of the playoffs. But in this game overall, it's a 48.5 over-under. I want to side with the under. I really do. There's a tremendous amount of talent on both sides of the ball. Everyone is fully healthy. Everyone's ready to go for this game, but it should have somewhat of a playoff-type atmosphere, given the fact that there still are seeding implications from this game based on the outcome of not only this game, but also next week. Now, that could also vastly change if the Vikings do come away with the win. I believe at that point they would have that spot secured. I have to double check on that. And then Green Bay would have nothing to play for next week. But the Vikings could be live in the division depending on what happens with the Lions, since both teams are sitting at 13-2 this week. And I do think the Lions will come away with the win against the 49ers on Monday night. We will feature that in the next segment as we're coming up against the break in about a minute and a half. So, lot of moving parts. That's what this comes down to for not only this week, but as we get into next week, where team needs this to happen. They also need that team to lose, as we saw on display tonight for the Seahawks. They don't necessarily need it to win tonight, but they also need the Cardinals to beat the Rams this weekend to have a shot at the division title when they play the Rams next week. So all these will play out throughout the course of not only Saturday, but as we head into Sunday and then Monday, a key game for the Lions to come away with that win. So Vikings, Packers, at this point, when I'm looking at the props, I think under 258.5 for Sam Darnold is the spot to go. Under 48.5 for the game overall is the spot to go. I don't see any props posted for Green Bay receivers as of now. We're waiting on the health of Christian Watson, who got a little bit banged up on the Monday night game. But it could be a spot for Jaden Reed or Romeo Doubs to step up in the passing offense if we don't see Christian Watson play. And of course, Josh Jacobs on the ground for the Packers, and also Aaron Jones going up against his former team in the Packers. It should be legitimately one of the games of the weekend. It should be a playoff type environment. Packers, Vikings. We're coming up against the break. One more segment. Lions taking on the 49ers on Monday Night Football. We'll preview that on Pro Football Today post-game show with myself, Tom Vecchio. Stay tuned.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
What's going on, and welcome to Pro Football Today post-game show. My name is Tom Vecchio. We are running through the Sunday slate, the Saturday slate, whatever it might be for Week 17 of the NFL. We are down to the final 2 weeks. It is crunch time for so many of these teams. There are playoff scenarios, win-loss, head-to-head, strength of schedule, you name it, flying across the league in terms of what teams need to happen. We ran through all the Saturday games. We ran through all the Sunday games, and there are some clear duds on the Sunday slate, which we absolutely want to avoid. Sunday night game should be amazing. Packers-Vikings should be amazing. Let's turn to the Monday night game. We're in the final segment here. The Lions visiting the 49ers. We will, of course, have this game here on Pro Football Today, the pregame show. Myself, Dave Sherapan, Adam Kaufman will be back on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern previewing this game. The Lions are 3.5-point favorites. It is a 50.5 over-under, very healthy over-under. The 49ers are officially eliminated from the playoffs. We know that. An injury-filled season got worse as the year went on, and they are done. I love the Lions in this matchup. I love them at -3.5. And as I mentioned earlier, I will be taking the Lions on the alt spread at -6.5, and I may even jump it up to a smaller, quarter unit play on the Lions -9.5 up at +235 that I'm seeing on the FanDuel Sportsbook right now. I think that the Lions want to come out and make a statement about this game after the results that we saw in the NFC Championship game last year. We saw this play out earlier in the season when the Lions went down to Dallas and absolutely smoked the Cowboys, running that score up. Because if we remember back to last season, there was that controversy when they had the sixth offensive lineman report as eligible. He didn't report as eligible. The refs didn't see that he reported as eligible, whatever it was. And the Lions went down there and made a statement, and they ran up the score, and it was all Lions in that game, scoring 40 whatever points. I'm not going to say we're going to see the exact same thing play out, but I do think the Lions want to come in here and have this feel-good game against the team that prevented them to getting to the Super Bowl last year. So -3.5, yes. Lions money line, it's sitting at -185 here, -178. I'm not playing the money line. Let's just call it what it is. If I think they're going to win by -6.5, I'm just not going to play the money line. We can look elsewhere for value. I think the Lions come out and make a statement. So -3.5, -6.5, and I'm going to put a small quarter unit on -9.5 as well. Them winning by 10 points, I don't think that would shock anyone, right? If they won this game 30, 34, or 31-20, would that shock anyone? The Lions are a Super Bowl favorite, coming into this. And the 49ers have been eliminated from the playoffs. Them winning this game 31-20, I don't think it would be a shock to anyone. So I want to try and capture that. Again, building in some of this motivation that the Lions have coming off of the heels of last season where they were stopped at getting to the Super Bowl. So that's where I'll look. Touchdown score odds that we're seeing right now are what you would assume with Gibbs all the way up there at -250 because we know that Dave Montgomery is out. It's not done technically for the season, but he is out as of now. St. Brown sitting at -110. I don't mind going to a Sam Laporta at +190. I'm not going to say I want to go as far as Tim Patrick at +300, but Sam Laporta at +190 feels right. I certainly don't want to be going to St. Brown or Gibbs. Let's just check on receiving props over here over on DK, see if there's anything listed different. They do have some receiving yards. St. Brown is up at 70, as you would assume. Jameson Williams, 53.5. The Gibbs 27.5 over on receiving yards for Jahmyr Gibbs is looking interesting. It is juiced a little bit at -120, so that's my initial lean as of now. Probably not looking at too many touchdown scoring props in this just because Gibbs getting there at -280 or minus whatever it is not something I have a whole lot of interest in. Laporta would be that first play at +190 or so. Gibbs coming out of the backfield, seeing, again, he's got to see a minimum of 20 total touches between the rushing game and the receiving game with Montgomery out. I want to build that in somehow. So we've gone through a whole lot. We have the Wednesday games, the Thursday games today. We have 3 games on Saturday. We have mostly, I'm not going to say full slate on Sunday just because the games are spread out this week. And then Monday Night Football, Lions visiting the 49ers. It is -3.5. It is -6.5. It is -9.5. The Lions are going to win this game and make a statement on it. And of course, myself, Dave Sherapan, Adam Kaufman will be back on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, doing the entire pregame show, our best bets, running through everything. Stay tuned here on SportsGrid. Not just for the Saturday slate, but we have college football. We have everything going on as we close out the year, the last 10 days or so. I don't even know how many days, or 6 days, 4 days, whatever it is, for the final few days of this year. College football, NFL, stay tuned here on SportsGrid. Enjoy your nights. Good luck with your bets.